and welcome to tonight's open meeting. I'd just like to remind everybody, having a new year, of the rules. New Jersey... We're coming to that. If you just hold on for a minute. Was I lost? New Jersey state law and the association bylaws state members attending meetings of the Board of Trustees shall not be entitled to speak or otherwise participate in these meetings. Those attending open meetings of the Board, proper decorum is essential to maintain a respectful and productive atmosphere during meetings. The Board asks that each member be courteous and treat each person in attendance with respect. Outbursts, disorderly conduct, and negative or defaming comments of any kind will not be tolerated. The Board reserves the right to take action in the event of any member or meeting becoming disorderly. And by the way, these rules are in fact printed on the back of the agenda, should you wish to read them at your leisure. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would everybody please stand for the pledge? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. God bless America. I open this meeting January 15, 2026. Is at 6:08. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Tom?
I'm here.
Debbie? Here. Julianne? Here. Sue? Here. Sandy? Here. Harvey? Here. Kerry? Here.
I'd like the approval of the minutes of the open meeting of November 20th, 2025.
I make the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, tonight we have a special guest, David Burns, Lakewood Litigation. David?
Hi everybody, how are you? Happy New Year. My name is Dave Byrne. As your board said, I'm the chairperson of my law firm's Community Association Practice Group. My firm is Ansell, Aaron, so you may be familiar with it. It's been around for about 90 years in this area. I've been representing associations for about 30 plus years, and one of the things that my team and I work on often is how governments handle what's called the New Jersey Municipal Services Act. It was a law that was passed in 1989. It's one of a kind, actually. It's the only one in the entire country that requires a municipality to either provide certain services for you or reimburse you for certain services. It's predicated sort of based on the idea of double taxation. Many of you, if not all of you, probably instinctively realize that you pay property taxes, but yet you're also paying assessments. And as a result of that, the legislature quite a long time ago figured that you should be treated in many ways the same way someone who's living in Lakewood along a public road is treated. They receive services in relation to property taxes, and so you should receive some benefit in that regard with respect to the property taxes that you pay. For many years, governments tried to avoid complying with the law, which is not unusual for governments. For the most part now, things have pretty much settled down. And even here in Lakewood, Although years ago we had to litigate with Lakewood and successfully prove that all of your roads are considered roads. Lakewood took the position for many years that much of your roadways are considered driveways, and as a result of that, they were not eligible for reimbursement or services. You won that case a while ago. And while Lakewood is now reimbursing you for services, the amount that have been provided are, we think, quite lower than what they should be. Okay, and that's why there's been litigation. A lawsuit was filed about 2 years ago. You're focused on pretty limited scope of things. The statute covers street lighting, snow and ice removal, leaf collection and removal, and then trash and recyclable removal and disposal, obviously. So there's 5 separate categories. Your community has a decent argument that the government is violating the law with respect to all of those categories. But it's not a clear-cut violation, and it also depends upon a variety of different things, like, for instance, it doesn't snow much anymore, and so there's a real question about sort of how much reimbursement you're entitled to. But, so I say that only to let you know that the litigation at this point is pretty much really hard focused on the trash and recycling component. Because, again, instinctively, you probably realize that's the most expensive aspect of those 5 services. Significant amount, significant expense to your community. Now, the government can decide whether to provide the service, which it does for some communities in town, or whether it wants to reimburse you for your services. The statute requires the government to reimburse you or provide you the service in the same fashion that the service is provided along public roads. And what Lakewood is basically trying to do is reimburse you to the same value as if you were living on a straight standard road in Lakewood where side loader trucks come. You know, some of them are called one-armed bandits. You know, where they come and they have the big thing, they lift the truck and lift the thing up in. Then there are rear loader trucks where there's 2 people that work. And one guy actually gets off the truck and dumps the stuff. And they still use a machine, obviously, but you need a guy to drive and a guy to use the machinery in the back. You can imagine the cost to the government to do the one-armed bandit is very low in relation to the cost that it is for the rear loader, just because labor is what costs the most money when it comes to providing service, which is normal, appropriate. The government tries to take the position that you should be treated in a lot of ways, but mainly as if you are just a standard community along a public road, and reimburse you to the lowest amount possible. Your board's position, I think is correct, is that you should be entitled to at least some enhancement or some different formula, because you are not able to be serviced by a one-armed bandit. You have a more unique trash and recyclable collection system. You have a more unique trash and recyclable collection system and disposal system. Many of you have different types of disposals at your homes. The government wants to take the position that it should reimburse you for the amount that it pays simply to drive around and pick up garbage at the curb on people's homes in Lakewood using a one-armed bandit machine. We don't think that's the right analysis. We think you're entitled to be reimbursed based on what the government would spend if it did the service the way you need the service done. And those are far different. A classic example of this is one of the first cases that was adjudicated, which is a big word, for this law. It involved a condominium association way up in North Jersey in a place called Vernon, Sussex County. Anybody with ski know there's some ski mountains there. The community's called Grey Gorge, Stonehill, and a lot of little condominiums there, and it's sort of abuts the ski slope. And that community took the position that it was entitled to not get reimbursed based on what Vernon was spending just to plow a regular flat road, okay? that community took the position that it was entitled to be reimbursed an amount that Vernon would spend to do those specific roads. And I mentioned the issue of the skiing and the topography, because in that community the roads are thin, they go up hills, the government is not able to just simply push snow to the end of the road like they do when you see the snow plow person moving snow on a regular road. They just simply plow snow to the side, right? And then whoever lives in the house has to come and shovel themselves out of the big mountain of snow. That's at the end. But when it comes to that community, in order to properly do snow in that community, the argument was that the government can't plow snow that way. The government would have to come in and hire special services, special trucks, and a lot of workers have to come out of their truck with shovels and maybe move the snow to off-site areas, because you can't just plow the snow this side of the community. And the association won that case. The judge in that case ruled that the government has to give special attention to the peculiarities of the community. It's not a blank check. You're not entitled to dollar-for-dollar reimbursement, okay? Because you may have, for instance, two-time-a-week pickup. But if you live in Lakewood, maybe you only get one-time-a-week pickup. Something like that. But you're entitled to an enhancement because the government would spend more money to do your trash and recyclables than it spends on a standard house along the public road. And that's basically what you're litigating, because when it comes to trash and recyclables, you're talking about a significant amount of money that we believe you're owed. The lawsuit was filed, as I said, a couple years ago in 2023. And under current law, you're allowed to go back 6 years from when the lawsuit was filed. So that means that we're attempting to go back to 2016, okay, 2015. There's some arguments about that, but the math may work for you only because there's a statute of limitations of 6 years. I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, know what a statute of limitations is. You see it on crime shows, how long you can prosecute a crime and that sort of thing. That applies to this type of situation as well. You can go back 6 years for a statutory violation. So you filed a lawsuit in 2023, so we're taking the position you go back to at least 2017. We made the argument that you go back to 2016 because all of the services may have been provided in 2016, which would be more than 6 years, the reimbursements were due in 2017. Okay, so the most aggressive position you have as a community is that Lakewood owes you money from 2016 current, which is a pretty decent amount of money. If you're successful, you're also entitled to what we call prejudgment interest, which is a decent amount of money as well. When you start talking about the kind of money you're owed, prejudgment interest adds up pretty nicely. And you're in the process of discovery. You've hired a few experts. One of the experts you hired is an individual that helped me win the municipal services case a while ago. I mentioned about the roads. When the government tried to tell you that your roads were driveways, we had to go to court and have a trial, and you won. And one of the reasons we won is we used an expert to testify about roadways, like a former township manager, and we're using him again. Another expert's been hired for your community that will help us with some other aspect of the case to try to figure out what the government really would spend. We have some legal arguments that we're going to try to make the case maybe a little faster, but regardless, it's probably going to end at some point this year, either through a settlement, which is unlikely, unfortunately, or through a trial. And I say settlement is unlikely, it's because governments usually don't settle these kinds of things. They would rather the court tell them to pay you a lot of money as opposed to voluntarily do it, because every dollar they pay you, they have to raise from other taxpayers. So is there anything else? Oh. Well, Tom wanted me to mention that, while the case was filed a while ago, even from lawyers' perspective, the case has been going on for a decent amount of time, and that's frustrating. Certainly the board would like to see a quicker resolution. We've had to get a couple of different court orders against Lakewood. Lakewood's violated a couple of a couple of court rules and court orders, that required Lakewood to provide a lot of information. Lakewood claims it can't find a lot of information. It claims it doesn't have information. Lakewood was sanctioned once by your judge, who ordered Lakewood to pay you sanctions, actual write-in check. So Lakewood has been a little deleterious in responding to your demands and complying with the rules. Sometimes I wonder if it's legitimately they really just have no idea how to answer your questions. But they're important questions because we have to try to figure out how much Lakewood is spending on certain services. And we have to be able to prove, which I think we can, that Lakewood is providing services to Lakewood residents along public roads that are commensurate with the services that you're receiving. Because if we could prove that other people in Lakewood are receiving the services that you're receiving, then in a lot of ways you might be entitled to dollar-for-dollar reimbursement. And that's a pretty significant amount of money. So there have been delays which on the part of the government, which have slowed things down. We have identified the fact that there are 3 communities in town that are receiving what we think are benefits that are greater than what you're receiving. And those communities have been served subpoenas by us. They're receiving direct services from Lakewood, which appears to me that they don't have to pay anything for snow and ice removal or garbage. And we need to explore why it is that 3 communities in town seem to be receiving benefits that are greater than yours. So that's something we're working on as well.
Any questions for David?
Say what communities?
Come up to the mic, please.
I knew you were going to ask that when I said that. Good question. No, that's not his question. Fairways at Lake Ridge is one. Enclave is another. And Lions at North is another one. Yeah, good question.
Dory, 334 Bay. Can you tell me who this former township manager is that you have hired as your expert?
The performance. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
The expert that you have, you said it was a former township manager?
Oh, yeah, William Gould, Guuhl.
And what town was he from?
He was the township manager in Lawrence in Mercer County.
Okay, for how long?
Oh, God, 20 plus years, I think. He's been retired for a while now.
Okay. What court is this being heard in, municipal or county?
Superior Court of New Jersey, Law Division.
Okay, where's it located at?
Ocean County, Tom's River.
That's what I asked.
Yeah, that's okay, yeah, Ocean County.
Okay, so it's county court.
Yeah, they're not county courts
I'm
anymore.
quite familiar. Maybe other people are, but I'm quite familiar.
No, there's no county courts anymore, that's what's confused.
It's basically county seat, okay? So why are we not going for leaf removal, street lighting? Why are we not going for other things since we're hiring? We might as well get more money back.
Well, they've all been pled as part of your case, but there may not be, maybe they're difficult to prove, maybe too expensive to prove. One of the aspects of the Municipal Services Act, unfortunately, is there's no fee shifting. So every dollar you spend on lawyers and experts, you can't get back. So the board always has to balance the amount of money it's spending on experts and lawyers versus what it's going to recover. So if you received $5, let's say, in 2024 for snow and ice removal, but they should have paid you $7, you probably wouldn't have a big loss over $2. That's hypothetical.
Okay. So actually, we have a big expense line in our budget for leaf removal. So we should be going after that because we don't necessarily know that we're going to have need snow removal. In this case, this year, it's been 2 times already. So
You've received reimbursements for leaf removal. The government has provided reimbursements for all these things. It's just a question of how much. I don't think the amounts are correct. So what I'm saying is, like, the government has made reimbursements for leaf removal.
okay, how much is that, and how far back does that go?
I have some of the numbers, but I don't have them all in front of me. Obviously, management does. But I know that in 2023, you received $22,000 approximately.
That doesn't show up on our budget, I don't believe.
I don't know.
It shows up from the income line for township.
Yeah. It's probably only one number.
Okay.
Yeah, it's probably only one number.
All right. And how do those 3 communities receive township benefits, whereas we can maybe follow suit with what they do and cut our expenses drastically?
Well, they've all been served with subpoenas, so I'm going to find that out.
Okay. How long have you been retained by Leisure Village?
Probably right around when the lawsuit was filed, so probably
The lawsuit was filed, you said in
in June of 2023.
2023, okay.
Yeah.
And how much does this cost us so far?
I don't have the number with me.
We should have, does anybody have the number, Judy? Tom?
To date, the cost is $267,927.
And what is the cost for the expert, or is that bundled into that ridiculous number?
It's bundled in.
Okay. At what point do we fish or cut bait?
I mean, the board's always free to end this litigation, but the amount of money involved still seems very far significant based on what you're paying.
What do you expect us to get reimbursed? Just a ballpark number.
Yeah, we don't have a number yet, it's still not done with, we actually just have to figure that out.
We don't have a number, but yet we're paying you this obscene amount of money.
You have a number that you've paid, but you don't have the number that the government should have reimbursed you based on what the government would spend to do your service.
We don't have any kind of idea of what that
You
is?
have to try to figure that out.
Just about.
It's impossible to know.
It's impossible.
I'm sorry.
You don't know how much you're asking.
Well, the statute says that you're entitled to reimbursement not more than what the government would have spent to provide your service. So you have to do a lot of fact-finding to figure out what the government would spend, like how much they spend on gasoline, how much they spend on workers, that sort of thing. It's not easy to do.
Okay, so this has been going on since 2023, and we don't have, we're close to getting this taken care of? So
Yeah, we're pretty close.
Okay, and how much is this costing us tonight, having you come in as opposed to write up a statement that one of our board members could read?
How much?
How much is it costing us to have you here tonight? Whereas we could have, a statement could have been typed up, and one of our board members could have answered the question. You don't seem to be answering
Let me finish. Sounds like a loaded question. I was going to answer your question. My hourly rate is $350. There are no secrets. I don't have anything to hide from you. That's the hourly rate.
How many hours are you anticipating that you're here tonight? Travel time, we're paying travel time?
Yes, travel.
Okay, where do you travel from?
I travel from Mercer County.
Mercer County. Where in Mercer County?
Princeton?
Okay. All right, so that's about an hour each way, 2 hours, and then an hour for here.
Sure.
So it's probably a pretty good buck for you to be here. Why didn't anybody ask for a written statement from you? We didn't need to spend almost $1,000, or probably $1,000 or more, to have you here tonight, because you haven't given us any answers. You stated facts. You stated facts of case law. You're not giving us round numbers, and you collected $267,927 from us already. Okay, that was not responsible behavior on our manager, our board's part, and you're just not going to strive for money.
Well, I'd like to remind everyone that the audience actually requested several times that the attorney come and give a report. He's here tonight to provide that report and answer any questions.
A report could have been written, Tom.
But a written report did not answer questions.
Well, he's not answering any either, so we should have found this information out before he plugged us. This is actually 260. We're asking for how much money are we going to get now that we paid you. And I've seen that amount of money. And you said that there's not, you don't have any idea. Okay, I'm done asking questions. Go on, hit me up.
Pat Wilson, 545 to Sheffield Court. You here, there's a special guest, David Byrne, Ansel Grimm, and Aaron. Who are those people?
Who is Ansel Grimm and Aaron?
Yeah, they said special guest, there are 3 people.
Oh, that's the law firm name, my law firm name.
Oh, that's your law firm name? I just want to ask you a question. I was on the board 7 years ago. Does this board realize that we fired you? Do they know that we fired you, law board?
I don't know.
As the lawyer for the village?
I don't know.
You should know, Tom. You were supposed to do something for us, and you didn't do it, and we fired you. The board fired you 7 years ago.
That's a lie.
It's not a lie.
It is definitely a lie.
What is it? Because I'll get Kathy to
It's a lie. Yes.
I
She's
was on the
lying.
board when we were there. And you're telling me I'm a liar?
I didn't, there was nothing I failed to do. That's a lie.
We fired you.
Yes.
Yes, we fired you. And you're handling this litigation.
She said you fired me because I
The
failed to
board
do something.
fired you.
I say
And
that's.
you know why we fired
I say that's a
you. I don't
lie.
have, that's a long time ago.
That's a lie.
When I saw you on the list today, I said, what? What is he doing here? Does the board know he fired you?
This isn't getting us anywhere.
No, but he's handling, you're handling the litigation for us? And this is why we're not getting any money, because you're handling it? This to me is not a good, you're honestly handling this litigation for us, and we fired you from the village as being our lawyer, and you're handling this, and we're not seeing any money, it's just being taken from us.
You don't
I don't think you're doing your job.
All right, any other questions? Did you want a question? Did you have a question? Did you have a question? It was answered, right, okay.
Good evening, Bill Bishop, 181B Sermon Court. You had mentioned, Mr. Byrne, that there was money owed and then also the pre-judgment fee. Could you give us a specific number for those two items you mentioned?
The pre-judgment interest?
And then the other one that you felt that the community was owed from the township? You had mentioned that going back to 2015, 2016.
Right, we need to figure out still how much the government would have spent. I can tell you in the case that I mentioned before, the one from North Jersey, that judge added a 50% enhancement onto your number. So if your annual trash recycle costs are $300,000, that would be $150,000 per year on that alone.
Okay, and then the pre-judgment
Yeah, it's about 3 to 4%
of the 300,000.
of everything accumulated.
Okay,
Pre-judgment interest is pretty high when we live out judgment.
all right, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, David. Secretary's report.
Real fast, the money that we're gonna be getting back, okay, when it comes, is there any way that you can take, let's say, what I'm getting back and put it in escrow for myself, so when I just save it for the HOA and not pay my HOA until I get that money? Yes, no?
No.
No, that's what, thank you. First time you guys go in.
Kerry has a question, and then we're gonna have a question. Kerry has a question, and then we're gonna let David leave, so.
This is for the attorney.
One of the things I thought I made clear earlier was, in relation to, sort of bring it back up with one of the woman's comments, is one of the reasons the board brought me back to handle this is because I won the case the first time. Like I said, for years, Lakewood refused to reimburse you because they considered your roads to be driveways. I was the one that got the judge to order Lakewood to reimburse you for all of your roads. That's significant. You were owed a lot of money at the time. I wish I would have been able to finish that. I wish the board at the time would have recovered those dollars. That was a significant amount of money that you could have recovered. But that's the reason I think the board brought me back, because I won the first time, again, with these same issues. I've litigated most of the biggest cases in New Jersey on municipal services. If you research, you'll see that I handled the Briar Glen 2 case, which was the first reported municipal services case in 2002. That was my case. I also handled the Ramapo River case, which is a case that came up 3 years later. That went to the Supreme Court. That was my case as well. So I've been litigating successful municipal services cases for quite a long time since I started. And your Lakewood victory that you got all those years ago, it's considered seminal for all associations in New Jersey. It is one of the cases that all governments now are forced to comply with when they attempt to call roadways driveways, even though you and I both know they're not driveways. And that was a huge victory for you all those years ago, and that's why the board brought me back to handle the case. I want to represent your perspective to this particular issue. And I'll say one last thing. The board is always focused, okay, whether it's to Tom or whether it's to the board, always focused on making sure that the amount of money involved is reasonable in relation to what you're paying the lawyer and experts. That's definitely its focus. If it comes to the point where the reward does not appear to be justified, you would have to make a different move. But Lakewood has not offered to change its position in any way. Just like it refused to change its position with respect to your roads all those years ago. It was obvious, and it remains obvious, that your roadways are not driveways. Any normal American would agree to that. But Lakewood forced you to sue them and have a trial to prove that your roads were not driveways. Lakewood is now doing the same thing to you. It's making you prove that you're entitled to more money than it's willing to pay you. It's violating court orders and court rules and not giving you information. It's providing services and reimbursements to other communities in your town that we believe are greater than what you're receiving, and we only learn because of depositions and fact-finding. So like I said before, I'm back because I handled the case for the first time, and the board believes, I think correctly, that Lakewood understands that if we can beat them, Lakewood, and Lakewood will lose. It's just a question of when. So that's some color as to why I am back. Thank you. But everybody, have you here?
All right, I do have a question. Mr. Burns, I have a question. Kerry Pazienza, 520A, Portsmouth. The amount we're going to be reimbursed is based also on the way Lakewood utilizes their garbage system. So now they have the one-man trucks. How long have they been utilizing one-man trucks, since that's going to obviously affect the amount of cash we get reimbursed? You said we're going to go back to 6 years. So out of that past 6 years, how many years have they been utilizing one-man versus two-man trucks?
It appears, it depends on the location of the township. It's changed over time.
Right.
It's been many years. But we believe that we have evidence that establishes that Lakewood is using rear loader trucks still. That Lakeview is using trucks that require two men and that require people to get off the truck and dump trash into the back of the truck. That's the truck that you need to be used here. You should be reimbursed based on that as opposed to the side loader truck.
All right, and you've already requested that information from the Lakewood MUA, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yes. How many, where they would have been?
Yeah. Lakewood claims it's unable to provide route maps. It claims it can't tell where a truck's going to be, when it's going to be a certain place. It's very sketchy, very, very shady. But we believe we already have evidence that establishes that Lakewood is using two-man trucks, rear loader trucks, in certain places in the town.
And they use only municipal trucks? They don't have a third party like Republic or Waste?
Only municipal trucks. They've done bidding for private service, but only public.
Sir, all the language, my name is Sam Zucker. Yes. I have a couple of apartments here, 7060 Dorchester and 168C Huntington. All of Lakewood is one-man trucks. My children live in Lakewood. I know exactly what's going on in Lakewood. One-man trucks. Forever.
That's not true.
It is true. It is true. I'm here all the time. Why are you saying that?
The government has already bid it. It uses
It's all on Central Avenue is one-man
Those are
trucks.
central avenues. There are other public.
All over is one-man
There are
trucks.
public roads in Lakewood where you cannot use side loader trucks. That's a fact.
They're all one-man trucks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Also, I just want to know, you guys the insurance, you raise the rate to $60 a month.
That's not,
Insurance.
we're not talking about this now. This is open meeting. What we're talking about is, it has nothing to do with our increase in,
Okay, I'm asking the board, have they gone out to other companies?
we're not talking about that today. This is an open meeting, which for David Burns, and that's what we're talking about. Now, we're going to go to the village manager's report. Our secretary's report, excuse me.
an update and a reminder about the trustee election. There are 3 seats open, 2 are 3 terms, and 1 is a 2-term. The special nomination meeting will be held on February the 2nd, immediately following the quarterly meeting. An application is not required to run for the Board of Trustees. All members in good standing are eligible to run for trustee, and any member in good standing may nominate themselves or any other member in good standing. All nominees must be in good standing at the time of their nomination. Nominees from the floor will have until 3 p.m. on Tuesday, February the 3rd, to submit their bio to the admin office for the March newspaper and absentee ballot mailing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, treasurer's report?
Okay, as of today, with our reserve accounts for the Ameriprise, we have $2,881,256.66. In December and January, we did not make our transfers into that account yet. We were holding off to make sure we had enough to pay the first insurance installment. In December, we've written checks for $148,702.50. And in January, we've so far written checks for $334,335.61. As far as collections, from 0 to 30, we have 388 units. 31 to 60 is 92 units. 61 plus is 141 units. We have 44 accounts with our attorneys, which is approximately $356,000. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Any questions for Judy? Village manager's report.
Dory 334B. So we have an Ameriprise account. What other operating accounts do we have? The reserve account. Where are other accounts at? Carney Bank. And which account is that? Operating. Okay. Any other accounts?
There's a bingo account.
Okay. Bingo. And where's that? Carney. Okay. Are we still collecting cash in activities, and obviously collecting cash in for bingo?
Cash for bingo, cash in activities.
Okay, why is that? I mean, the bingo, I can see that, but what are the checks and balances? What is incoming is getting deposited?
I can't tell you what's deposited off my head, off the top of my head. I don't know off the top of my head about the activities deposits, but they're deposited weekly.
Okay, is there some checks and balances on that?
Yes, I'm sure there are.
You're sure there are?
Yes.
But you don't, that doesn't sound very convincing.
Well, they are.
Okay, if there's no protocol in place for accepting cash, giving receipts to people when they give cash, just in case somebody comes back to them?
If they request a receipt, thank you, Jerry.
Okay, they got a receipt.
Yes.
All right, so how many people are in charge of overseeing the activities account and the bingo account? When it comes time for collecting the cash and adding it all up and making the deposit, how many people oversee that, and who on the board oversees that as well?
The ladies in activities count daily the money. Jen does the final count and takes the deposit over to Regina and Gina.
Okay, and who, Gina makes the deposit?
Regina makes the deposit.
Okay, all right, thank you. And the same thing, I guess, goes on with bingo?
Yes.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Village manager's report.
Oh.
Anne Marie Gillespie,
353D Dorchester. Judy, I'm not sure if this is a question for you or not, but being that we're in a new year, I know last year with the budget, we were buffering for up to a 30% increase with our insurer. Did we get that finalized quote for how much they're charging us this year, and how much of a percentage was it that they increased us? Okay, thank you.
Village manager's report.
All right, good evening, everyone. Just to answer those questions in regards to the insurance. So our insurance brokers have been working very closely with our carrier, not only to control the insurance premium increases, but also to get more in coverage. So years ago, CAU had reduced the amount of coverage from 600 million to 300 million, which basically forced us to get another policy, which is called excess property insurance. So we've been shopping all the various policies, most of which were already secured. There's still a few that still need to be renewed. We're hoping that we're going to have those brokers at a meeting, hopefully in February, to go over it. But I can report to you today that the package policy, it did not exceed our budget. So if anyone had any concerns about particular assessment or anything like that, we could certainly relax a little bit. So the premium for the package policy just came in under what we estimated. So we're in good shape in regards to that. There are changes that we were able to make, such as the excess property insurance. We were able, since Philadelphia Insurance did increase the limits slightly, we were able to lower the limits on our excess property insurance, so that also lowered the premium there. So there's a number of areas where we were able to save money and lower premiums. Some of these smaller packages or policies came in slightly higher than what we estimated. Good example of where things are flowing with our estimates. We had talked about bus insurance, which we estimated to come in around $80,000. Well, it did. It actually came in just slightly less than what we estimated. So our estimates were pretty good, most of which we estimated 10% across the board on most of the smaller policies and 12% on the package policy. So we're doing pretty good. The umbrella policy, we did estimate 30% increase, and the umbrella policies throughout the market for community associations are ballooning up. They're like 50, in some respects, 100% increases. So we're, not that you've ever triggered a claim on your umbrella policy, but there's obviously other communities out there that experience some very large natural disasters, which is affecting those insurance premiums in those areas. So they're also lowering the limits. They're trying to reduce the amount of exposure they have when claims are submitted. So. But once again, once we have the brokers here, they can talk about it in better detail for you. Next up, last week we had the CJGO in to perform some repairs on Lake Tudor. All the joints that were in question and leaking were sealed. We did see, subsequent to the repairs, a couple of areas that did spring some minor leaks. They're very, very small. So the engineer is actually looking at that and monitoring that to see if that's actually anything that is needs to be addressed. And if so, how we're going to move forward with addressing it. But the flow exiting Lake Tudor has been reduced significantly. We have been asking for reports on the lake levels. They did measure the lake level the day following the repairs. There was no change in lake level. That weekend we did experience some significant rainfall, which did increase the level of the lake. It went up approximately 6 inches according to their measurements. And since, and that was on Sunday, since then the lake has come down about 1 inch. So over the past few days since Sundays, came down about 1 inch. We're also looking to get proposals to replace the two wooden pedestrian bridges. There's a bridge that goes over to the small island in the Plymouth area. We're looking to replace that. And there's a small bridge that goes from Plymouth to Huntington Drive. We're looking to get a proposal on that as well. Lastly, just to report on this winter's weather. December was unusually active for winter weather. We don't usually experience that kind of snow events during December. That's usually typically in January and February, but we did manage to handle those storms despite it being a little short-handed around holidays. I know there is something forecasted for this weekend, but at this time we don't see it as much of a concern, but we're certainly going to continue to monitor it to see if it actually develops into anything. And that'll conclude my report. Thanks.
Any questions for Tom?
Gene Liber, 352A. The repairs that were done and minor leaks, do we have a bond for the repairs? Because when we did the original dam, we had a 1-year thing.
Right.
Are we going to be protected this time?
There's a 1-year warranty on the repair work.
Why? Why only 1 year?
Well, you can go out further, but you get to pay for it. So the repairs in themselves are $38,000. You're going to pay a lot more than $38,000 for additional coverages.
Okay. The insurance brokers gave us a discount so that we would get our business. Is that discount still in place, or was that just the 1 year?
I did not get any information from the brokers about a reduction in any kind of commissions, but once again, once they're here, and we can give a whole presentation on our various policies, it's a question you can ask.
Well, wouldn't that have been reflected in the bill that we just got?
Well, we're just getting the bills in now. We haven't gotten anything from the US side.
Okay. And last but not least, are we still paying flood insurance on 5 or 6 buildings? Because we don't have any water in the lakes. It would take a flood just to fill up to where we usually were.
Right, so yes, we are still paying for coverage on 8 buildings. It's required by FEMA. When you have a unit that is in that flood zone, especially if there's a mortgage on it, that's typically what triggers it. And in accordance with our governing docs, we have to provide that coverage, so we do.
How often are flood zones updated?
FEMA, it's really up to them. For a while there, we were seeing updates every year, but I haven't received one in quite some time, so I don't know last time they updated.
Can we request one?
You can actually go on and look online and find that information as well.
Can we request an update to the flood plains?
Yep.
Would you please, as a board, request it?
Well,
so that we don't have to pay for flood insurance if we don't have water in the lakes?
They're not looking at the level of the lake right now. They draw a line around the bodies of water, and sometimes I believe it's very arbitrary. I don't think there's any really scientific method. No survey team is coming out here to do it. Now, when you do get notice from them that flood insurance is required, we do hire a survey team to go out there and pull measurements. And what they're looking for is elevations on mechanical, whether it's the HVAC system, etc. We use those measurements to try and get FEMA to change the zoning, so to speak. It's been a little successful.
That's exactly what I'm asking for. Can we request that?
It's up to the board. If they want to generally request it across the board for the individual units, or if they're looking for a total property mapping.
Tom, could you please talk it over with the board?
I'll bring it up next week.
Thank you.
If I could just butt in for that, I was in a flood zone in my previous home, and I had to pay out of pocket to get an elevation survey as well as the area survey, and I presented that with all the paperwork through FEMA, and my insurance company, and I did get mine changed, because it is just like a map. They just look at the lines, and that's all they care about. It was the elevation survey that made the difference for me, because, it turned out that with the increased elevation, I only had 5% of my property that was considered home still within the flood zone. So I got to drop that flood insurance, and it was quite costly to begin with, but I did have to pay out of pocket, and I'm probably going back 20 years or so. I don't know what it would cost now. But it was me that had to institute the change. I don't know if the village can do it. It would have to be somebody's mortgage holder. That's just my thought.
Thank you, Derek.
Cindy, 218A, Tom, since you did mention snow, I'm asking the board, did you come up with anything with the people who have the numbered spots? We had a real big incident, 3 of you were involved, where somebody came before the snowstorm and parked in a numbered spot, and it took a while for us to get that person. The person, thank God it wasn't me, because I would have been at your houses with a panic attack. But it took till 9:30 at night to get that car to be towed away. Now, when I looked at the map for that area, it's showing back by me that the whole area is yellow. There's only 10 visitor spots. You gotta remember, we don't have carports. My spot is my garage without the 3 walls and without a door. So I want you to try and do something, because the poor girl, I know she drove you guys crazy. She didn't have time, she didn't have your number. She drove me crazy, and she drove the 2 of you crazy with getting that done. If it was me, I probably would have been much worse, because I would have been in complete panic mode. So please, you guys gotta do something about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Dory, 334B. So the geotechnical firm finished their project up on January 7th at about 6 o'clock. Who was there to oversee the work that they were doing?
The engineer was on site.
He was on site. Was he on site the whole time? He was there when they left?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't, because I was there.
Well, according to my conversation with them, they were still there when I left at 3 o'clock.
They left at 6:02. And then on the 10th is when it rained. On the 11th is when I enthusiastically walked down thinking, this is great, and the leaking is still going on. I don't know what calculation you use to say that it's an inch, but it's more than an inch. I've been sending you pictures every single day since Sunday. I've gotten no acknowledgement, and Chuck Woodsack designed that original dam. And then we rehired him for this project. When he got up here in front of the audience and he lied that he couldn't get a hold of the DEP, when a homeowner was able to get a hold of the DEP on a regular basis and knew her by name. Why are we still employing this clown?
That's not nice.
It's bad.
Not nice.
They use a ruler basically measuring down from the weir to the surface of the lake to see how much it has dropped.
Well, tell him to get a new ruler, all right? Did the DEP check the work that was done or not?
When I was out there, I never saw them.
Okay.
They were made aware, and they never came on the job site.
Okay. But are we going to see about doing something with Chuck Woodsack? He's incompetent?
That's the board's decision.
The board's really didn't do anything.
Thank you. Committee reports. Judy.
Yes, tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock is the neighborhood representatives meeting. Representatives are welcome to come, and any other property owners also welcome to come and state their concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandy.
Thanks. I'd like to report on the food pantry, and I'd like to thank everyone who's still donating, because we have served, unfortunately, over 100 people since we started in November. We are delivering, and we are having Debbie Kennedy is here on Wednesdays. She has 6 to 8 people every Wednesday come in and shop in the food pantry. So please, if you can at all, keep the donations coming. We're not taking donations here anymore. You have to bring them down to Buckingham. Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Safety and security. Just be careful out there, you know, the winter's just beginning. There's going to be a lot of snow, ice, so just be careful out there. Make sure when you get the one call, you move your car. Because, you know, we want to get these roads clean. If you're going to have your car out there, it's going to get towed away, we're going to get a fine. We got to get up and down these roads with the plows. So just be careful out there with the ice. Thank you. Vice President report. Sure.
Sharon Wagner, 684A Pleasant Drive. Since the last couple of storms that we had, windstorms, rainstorms, snow, there's been no one over on Newcastle or Plymouth repairing the light outages that the plows hit. There's tree branches down, pine cones, all the pathways are littered with stuff. One of our residents accumulated a whole bunch of piles of twigs from the lake. They're all laying around the back end of Lake Waddell. And he's like, no one comes over there to do anything. And the last 2 times that they applied brine to the roadway, our cul-de-sac, all the cul-de-sacs over on Newcastle and Plymouth never got brine. So I'm not understanding why.
I brought that up today about that.
Okay. And we're still having an issue on my street with one particular resident who refuses to move his SUV during a
Do
snowstorm.
you have the address?
What?
Do you have the address?
Yeah, John has it. I mean, I emailed you and Debbie at 2 o'clock in the morning saying, because you know what happens? On my neighborhood rep, and my neighbors are coming to me and complaining to me, hey, we moved our cars. Why is this guy getting away with it?
I'm sure you got a fine.
You got a fine and you got told.
You got to?
Yeah.
Right, but then he turned around and did it the next snowstorm.
Got a fine and you got told.
All right, thank you, Sharon. Residents report. I just want to tell you that a lot of things are getting done in this village. We've got the SNAP program for people that need help with food, being that, you know, they're cutting all these programs out. We have the Christmas dinner program that we serve. How many people? 140 people got dinners from the church that we delivered that day. There's a lot of people that need help in this village.
Just one other thing. The church, St. Martha's in Point Pleasant, the Knights of Columbus, brought us 45 extra dinners. We were able to freeze and give to people who came to the food pantry.
So we are doing good in this village. There's things I know there's a lot of problems, and we're working on them. So just give us a break sometimes. All right, I want to adjourn this meeting. I call this meeting, motion to adjourn this meeting. Meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming, everybody.